do like 1,000. We're live.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's kick us off. Where shit is it? Here it is. Good morning, comrade. You're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly dose of the #1 socialist radio program in the New Orleans area. This is Good Morning, Comrade. Jeff and Robert sitting in the studio on this. I cannot think of a better week to be saluting the memory of 250 years of dying empire with anybody else more than with the one, the only, the handsome Robert Johnson. What's up, my dude?
I don't know. I went out of my way not to celebrate the 4th of July. It was nice to have a day off, but yeah, it just hits different in the year of our Lord 2024. I'm not fooling with it. I did go to a little pool function, did eat burger, but 4th of July, like, yeah, 1776 was the furthest thing from my mind.
I wasn't thinking about 1776. I was thinking about 2024, baby. The last year of America, perhaps. It's been crazy, man. It's been
I mean, I guess. Yeah,
that's gonna probably be dozens of years of decline.
Oh, absolutely. Rome wasn't built, nor did it fall in a day. But
the crisis of the 3rd century, I mean, you had hundreds of years after that, even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I was saying, Rome wasn't built or fell in a day, but I'm not going to be here. I'm not trying to be here when the Huns are at the gate. I'm gone, son. No, it's real talk. Like we talked about this offline. I think a little online too. Like the plan is firmly in place. We are making moves over here in the Johnson Huggins household.
Oh yeah, money moves,
getting it wired. Oh, absolutely. It's there. If anybody, this might be too much for our audience that listens to WHIV, but to quote, Dr. Umar, I have plans that I cannot share with you because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that I cannot share with you because the haters will sabotage me. But no, seriously, like getting stuff in order to get out of here. And it's not the performance. I mean, we haven't talked about the Sleepy Joe debate, but the performance in the debate was the canary in the coal mine, to where I hit the red button of, oh, we're going to be for real fascists, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Because this is what happens with neoliberalism. And I feel like this is it's all of our collective faults at the end of the day, but especially our WHIV listeners who might be of the live, laugh, love variety of liberal. This is your fault. And no, 100%, because the things that y'all, and I'm talking directly to people who
the liberals
the show, not necessarily the people who listen to us online. They I think they're pretty locked in, but the people who listen to us over the air,
I love it. This is definitely the audience.
I mean, how many times are you going to cry wolf and say, oh, just one more election, and then we'll do nothing, and then we'll do nothing again, and then we'll do nothing again? If people's material needs aren't being met, then that's how fascism takes hold, and that's where we're at right now. I'm absolutely terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. Like, this isn't even one of those things where it's like, oh, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Canada. No, this is, I'm getting my stuff in order now so I can be an immigrant and not a refugee, if that makes any sense. I'm old. I'm young enough to be an immigrant somewhere. And the place that I'm thinking, like the stuff that we're thinking about is like, oh, we can have dual citizenship. So that way, let's say it's just a little adventure that we go on for a couple years, and the ghost of Che Guevara gets elected as president, and we become a socialist shining beacon on the hill, and everything's great. I can just slide on back. But I don't see it going that way. What I see is just one little cyclical economic push, one more little recession, one more little housing bubble, one more stock market crash, which we will have because that is the nature of capitalism, is going to push us into absolute fascism. Because when you look at the history of we're not Rome. Like I made that kind of like Rome crack earlier. We're not Rome. We're Weimar Germany. When you take a look at World War I and what happened to Germany, they lost World War I. They had to pay a bunch of reparations out. Their newly elected, they didn't have the Kaiser anymore. Their newly elected liberal democratic government didn't do diddly squat to secure people's material needs. So those people turned to fascism, and the liberals turned right with them into fascism. That is what's happening here in America now. We're not getting neoliberalism has hollowed out the world. The world is now coming to our doorstep. We are adults in the room. Democratic Party, supposed to be the good guys, will not address people's material needs here. So people are going to say, well, geez, I can, the Democratic Party gives me nothing, but if I vote for Trump, at least I'm going to, I'm not going to get anything material either, but at least my racist, fascist tendencies will be entertained.
Yeah,
that's what's happening. That's how the Nazis came to power. I know it's a hyperbolic to be like everything Nazis, but this is exactly how they came to power. And I am not being hyperbolic. If I had, if you could be like, hey, would you leave Nazi Germany before it became Nazi Germany? Yes, I would. And that's where I feel we're not even headed. We're there. We're just one little push off the cliff.
I mean, and also like right after, I think it was on Friday of last week or early this week, there was an announcement by the Supreme Court. I mean, that essentially like
there you go.
The president can essentially cannot be prosecuted for like any of his quote unquote official acts as president, which basically means that you can just do whatever crimes you want, be they war crimes, be they torture, be they attempting to, I'm not like anything that can be deemed as official or whatever, as like, and believe me, the Supreme Court or whatever is not going to be like holding a very tight leash on that one. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And that's the thing that like liberals of the live, laugh, love variety keep, screaming in my ear to keep whinging about Project 2025 and the Supreme Court and this and that. And
your system gave us this, right?
Exactly. I'm like, okay, you're 100% right.
What are you going to do about it?
What are the good guys doing right now?
And so what Joe Biden does, instead of saying like, hey, I'm going to, take advantage of this and use this to actually like do popular things or exercise my power in a way that actually does make it so that it's more likely that, at least he doesn't lose the election and have, because Rachel Maddow, who's like one of these liberal commentators, comes out and says, okay, folks, I got to be straight with you. The Democrats just have to win every election now for forever.
And then what? They're not providing any material benefit. We're not even voting for harm reduction anymore. We're voting to keep the car in neutral.
Yeah.
But it's like people
comes out and he says, oh, no, well, you know what? You can trust me not to abuse these powers because I'm so good, and or whatever. It's like, okay,
he says, dude, well, I dissent.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you dissent, big dog? Well, it's like, I'm definitely going to vote for you for president because when, we need a president like you. If only you were president, and only the Democrats were in power and only they could do so. Oh, they are right now. And so the next thing that
if only somebody around here could do something about it, like if only somebody here had some power to do anything in the world, if only the guy who literally just got given the sword of all swords to end all swords and no impunity to do whatever he wanted could just like do something right now, and it'd just be like, oh, well. And again, like we keep saying this, and it's like become almost like very quickly like tired, I guess. But like with Rachel Maddow in one hand, one of these liberal luminaries or whatever the hell, comes out and is like, we need to win every single election forever and ever, or fascism is going to take us over. And like, you have this 80-year-old feeble man who is like not able to string together sentences. When asked a question about abortion, starts like talking about immigrants doing crimes as a part of his response to this. It's like, oh, that's the one thing that's going to protect us from fascism. Well, GG's, it's over.
Then that's
over.
why I'm exactly what I'm saying in a nutshell. You nailed it. And the thing I'm getting, again, whinging in my ear about is how, if Donald Trump wins, he's going to do this and that as president. He's going to run rampant. It's going to be the new Nazi party. It's going to be this and that. He's going to have all this power. And I say,
like you believe them, honestly. I mean,
yeah. And I'm like, I do believe them. So
like booking it out of here.
So the counter to that, so when I say, okay, great, that same person, you want to talk about Orwellian, that same person, and these are literal conversations I've had where I'm barely being hyperbolic. We'll say Donald Trump is actually Beelzebub. He's actually, Asmodean. It's Satan. He's going to do all the things when he's president. I say, okay, cool. So that sounds bad. So we need to stop that. So what's Joe Biden doing? And they will say in that same breath, he's just the president. He doesn't control everything. Well, which is it, my friend? And it's like when you go back and you hear him, like we were just talking about the press conference after the Supreme Court verdict, where he said the best thing he'd come out and say, I dissent, and I'm not going to use that power. And I'm looking at an AP news article right here. House Democrat is proposing constitutional amendment to reverse Supreme Court's immunity decision. And this is Representative Joseph Morial of New York. The top Democrat in the House Administration Committee sent a letter to colleagues informing them of his intent to file the resolution, which would kickstart what's traditionally a cumbersome amendment process. Now, whether this succeeds or not, it's more than likely 99% absolutely not. But so what you're trying to tell me is this one rep from New York has more power than the president.
Or at least better ideas.
Obviously, because the president, he's just the president. He can't do anything. Yeah. But you've got random reps. You've got AOC saying she wants to abolish the Supreme Court. You've got this guy just talked about they're actually doing something. It doesn't even matter if it succeeds or fails. And the reason why I absolutely want to leave this country so bad, it's not even a thing of I'm not even worried about fascism taking hold. I'm not even worried about that. Because somebody said, somebody said, well, where would you want to go? And I'm like, well, I gave them my short list and they're like, oh, don't go to Spain. Don't go to France because, they have a bunch of fascism, the right's on the ascendancy there. And I say, but
here on the rise in the West, just broadly.
But I say, but here's the difference. So if Le Pen takes control in France and it becomes fascist right-wing dictatorship, there are literally French citizens who will literally fight in the streets against it.
They have a record of that.
They actually have a real left. Mm-hmm. They have a real left. We do not have a left. And I was when I try to explain this to like normal rank and file, like Democratic voters, it doesn't. I'm like, what has the Democratic Party done that is leftist? Well, like they want to take our guns. I'm like, who? Show me a policy that has passed one Democrats that's gotten, to the House or the Senate, a bill to take people's guns. That doesn't happen.
Actually, background checks are taking guns away from people. That's the same exact thing.
But you get me. It's like when we talk about the left here does not exist. Yeah, we have two sides of the uniparty. Yeah. So again, like I don't want to stay here and have them pick us all off one by one. I cannot do that. Like that's crazy, but I'll fight. If there's some kind of, if we were living somewhere else, I'd be like, okay, I live in Louisiana. I'll buy a plot of land. I'll teach people how to shoot firearms. I'll teach people how to grow food, like whatever. I have my own little workshops but we don't have that. We don't have an actual left. So therefore I want to go somewhere that actually does, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And in the midst of all this too, I mean, like we also, Joe Biden had this like disastrous debate performance, the one man standing between us and fascism in America. And I mean, you could also very easily argue that we're already at fascism. I mean,
absolutely,
our policy towards Israel and the genocide that's taking place in Gaza. Obviously, like I'm not trying to be like America is perfect right now or good or not like a part of the huge.
No, it's trash, and neoliberalism is how we got here.
But 100%. I want to like also at the same time say like there's even attempts from inside or at least by like normal people in the world who have identified like, oh, this old man, this beat up, feeble old man, like maybe we don't want him to be our champion to fight against this oncoming impending fascist threat and automatically take an L. Maybe we can like try and find somebody else, some kind of alternative, even if it's somebody who's not great, like Kamala Harris or whatever. And like, I'm not trying to say that it would even necessarily be better or good or anything like that. But like the idea of like Joe Biden said today, is this Friday as of recording, like essentially like he would have to hear, and like the donors are organizing against him, like senators are organizing, a couple of them have spoken out, like Lloyd Doggett in Texas, and apparently Mark Warner in Virginia is like organizing one of these like, you know, essentially conspiracies to like make Joe Biden no longer the nominee. And Joe Biden went on ABC just a little while ago as a recording and basically said that like the Lord Almighty is the only thing that can stop me from running for president right now.
Like, it's so funny. Like, his brain is tapioca pudding, but the one thing that still works inside of him is his hubris.
It's
like the one.
He's an old Irish guy, old Irish Catholic guy. When you tell him that you need him to come in or step down or back up or step away or give me the thing, whatever it is, he do the opposite. That's just what it is. That's what old Irish guys are like.
Another thing too, and I talk, you know, when I get into arguments with liberals, I'm like, and they're like, you got to vote for Joe. And I'm like, if Joe Biden was literally dead, like Weekend and Bernie's, no pulse dead.
Yeah.
And they took his old dead hand and put a pin in it with rigor mortis and had him sign right now executive orders, stop funding Israel, education, and healthcare for all. I would go campaign. I would fly to my mom's house in Ohio on the weekends and go knock doors for Joe Biden, dead corpse Joe Biden right now. I don't care about the figurehead. I care about the policy. And I think a lot of other people do too. And, you know,
a lot of people the figurehead too.
I am not hard to win over. I am absolutely not hard to. And the one thing you haven't heard from any of these media outlets talking about, oh, should Joe Biden not run? Should he step down? Should he be the president now? Should it be Kamala Harris? Should it be Gretchen Whitmer? Nobody has talked about what policies would it take for people to come out and vote for the Democratic Party. Not one person said that, because that's all it would take. But then you'd run afoul of the Democratic Party's actual masters, which are AIPAC and the rest of the lobbyist money. But I am not hard. Again, I am not hard to please. If they slotted Joe Biden out tonight with Kamala Harris, let's do the. I thought about this the other night. I was sitting up thinking about it. Do the weird guerrilla game it out in my head. Mm-hmm. I'm living here in Louisiana, in New Orleans. I would vote for Kamala Harris because I would want to vote for her. Politics are trash, but I would want to vote for the first Black woman running for president since Shirley Chisholm, who has a chance to win. And then that would help Louisiana Democratic down ballot races. Since I'm already there, I might as well vote for somebody else. Mm-hmm. I still currently would not vote for her if I lived in Ohio. If this was back in time and I lived in Ohio, I would not vote for her because I'm not voting to keep an active genocide going. But forget the education and forget the healthcare. If they slotted her out and slotted him out with her, and she goes, you know what? We're not funding this genocide in Gaza anymore. We're done with that. That's done. Now, again, I'm flying to my mom's on the weekends and I'm going to knock doors for Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. But the bar is literally in hell, and the Democratic Party cannot clear that bar. Yeah. All they'd have to do is just do something. Do something, pick something that's materially beneficial to their constituency and do it. That's my thing is genocide. I'm not voting for genocide. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I have a red line. And if anybody says, well, Trump would be way worse with Israel and Gaza, I say, great, more reason for me to stay home. Because what you're saying is it doesn't matter. So why would I waste my time doing something that doesn't matter?
It's either genocide or super duper extra genocide. Yeah. Like that's the two choices.
So I'm not going to waste my time with either. So again, if you're telling me that Trump is the worst thing ever, which I believe, then why aren't we pulling out all the stops? Why aren't you, WHIV? Why aren't you, WHIV listener, blowing up using the 5 Calls app, blowing up your representative every day and saying, hey, I just talked to this guy. He's easily convertible. There's millions of people across the country like him. The natives are restless. Why don't y'all do something instead of trying to vote scold people to vote for genocide? It's crazy. This is insane.
And
that's it. Go ahead.
No, and like while that's all going on, like we also, I mean, again, even if you want to like take any of the morality out of it and like fine, you got to vote for one of the genocides, like you're not gonna win if you're gonna have this like guy who's very obviously this sundowning old man who can't even hold a sentence together. So even like in the strategic sense of the whole thing, you're just like rolling out of L. There was a hilarious quote that he had on tonight's and this is supposed to be the guy that's like single-handedly fending off fascism in America, right? Again, this is what the Democrats are saying. This is not what I'm saying. But what he essentially said, like when asked the question, how will Biden feel if Trump wins? And Biden said, as long as I gave it my all, he will be okay. Or I will be okay.
That's no one cares, Joe. It's not about you, Joe. It never has been.
Again, this is supposed to be the guy that is like the only alternative to fascism in the world. This is not what I'm saying necessarily. This is what the Democrats are saying. This is what they're doing. And if you don't support this guy, then you are supporting fascism or whatever. And like his approach is, well, we're just going to leave it all out on the field. You know, if I lose to him and I do my best, we leave it all on the field, give it 110%, then I can put my head on a pillow at night before 8:00 apparently, because he's one of the other things that he said hilariously this week as a cause for his like poor debate performance is just because he was a bit eepy.
That's so disgusting, dude.
It's so great.
But Hassan Piker said it best because they're trying to say, oh, he's sleepy, he had a cold, and then also his travel schedule. And it's like he hadn't traveled in weeks, but let's pretend the travel was last night. Hassan Piker said, it's not like this guy was flying on Ryanair. He wasn't on Spirit or EasyJet. He was on Air Force One. But you don't think has a full bedroom suite. Like, what are you talking about with like a California King in it? What are you talking about, dog? You talking about how are you jet lagged? Go to sleep, idiot. But so you know that's a lie. But again, WHIV listener right now.
Listen to this program right now. If you listen
right now, WHIV 102.3 FM End All Wars, right?
Yeah.
You're listening to this right now.
Genocides too. Let's end all genocides. How about that?
And you're probably mad at me right now because like, oh, this, people can't call me a kid anymore, but they were like, oh, you don't know how the sausage was made. You don't know how the world works. Sometimes you just gotta murder a whole race of and culture to make sure that Applebee's still has boneless riblets.
By the way, you have seen some sausage made before, at least within the Democratic Party. You've seen some
absolutely
made, so you know what it's like. They can't use that one on you either, and they can't use that.
No, that's the thing. That's what I always say too. I say personally, you want to attack me personally, that's fine. Let's go. I was like, I was in the United States Marine Corps in the year 1999. I voted for Gore and had my vote thrown away while I was in Japan. It was like I voted in every dumb municipal up the federal election until the last one that just passed here in Louisiana, because I was like, I'm done with electoral politics. I was like, I was elected delegate in the Democratic Party for Bernie Sanders. Please, if you've lost me who just like, I live, breathe politics. We have a hobby radio show and podcast. You have lost me. Imagine the millions of people that you've lost who were just like casually, I guess it's time to go vote. I guess I'll go hit the D. It was like who barely know anything from anything. And it's not their fault that they know anything. Like the people aren't weirdos like I am. But I'm just like, you've lost me. And to the listener, you might say, "Oh, you're an idiot, and you're a one issue voter or whatever." And I'm like, look, if you're blue, no matter who, understand that you are no different. That you are in the same. You were in just the annex bonus room of the same cult that MAGA is in. You are no different. Now, if you're trying to argue with me that you're not blue no matter who, and I'm telling you my red line is genocide, I would love to know what yours is. Because if it's not genocide, if it's not education, if it's not infrastructure, if it's not Medicare for all, then I need to know what it would take for you not to vote for a Democrat. Not to vote for the sitting president who is not only actively murdering people for no reason, and it's also not giving you any material benefits. What is your limit? Because that's a real question I really need to know. If you're not blue in the blue MAGA cult.
Yeah, or even I don't know. Like I look at the voting side of this thing and be pretty unimportant, if you know what I mean. Like,
no, I do.
At the end of the day, like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess like there's no real way to discipline Democrats, and so like I don't know. I'm probably gonna vote for Joe Biden just because like I don't want the bad thing to happen. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't feel like I'm voting for or against genocide because there's no choice actually is taking place. But like, not everybody's a freaking thinks like me and can make these like Borg like computations and be like, well, what's the situation going to be? You know, which outcome from doing this horrible and more. I'm not trying to like be precious with it about like my virginity or whatever. Like I'm not trying to be like I'm trying to make there's two choices here. I mean, I guess you could vote for a third party. That's a part of the choice. And then, you know, in a state like Louisiana, it doesn't matter. In a state like Virginia, it does. But like, I don't know. I just don't think about it that much. But I do know that we have to we need to bring up this stuff. We need to rail against it. And we need to organize people and build an actual movement. If that's even possible in America. And I'm thinking like less and less that it is possible. Yep. But like, you know, why do we do a radio show? Why do we talk about this stuff? Are we just blasting out like what we think and what we feel out to the airwaves because it makes us feel good? Do we think we're actually doing good in the world and like making people, you know, like potentially like connecting with people and changing their minds? Like, what's going on here? Like why do we do this? You know,
I have no illusions of like doing good in the world with you know, our radio show. Even if we had like, I can think of the most popular like listened to like talking heads in the world and that are online or whatever, the people that we both listen to. I don't have any illusions that they're out here doing God's work. You might turn one or two people, but like I don't think about it like that. It's kind of self-important. I do this to make myself feel good. The same way that liberals want to argue with me about how I need to vote for Joe Biden because they're trying to silence a voice that's in their heart and their head. They're trying to sell it to me because they are also at the same time trying to sell it to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I could see that with every confrontation, every argument, every conversation I have with the Blue MAGA gang. Mm-hmm. And I understand what you're saying. And like, I will not chastise anybody for voting for Joe Biden at all. My thing is, don't pee on my leg and try to tell me it's raining. Don't try to convince me. Don't just keep it to yourself. It's like religion. It's like I mean, you're not in the cult, but if you want to be, I'm just saying you're not in the cult, but these people want to be in a blue MAGA religion. They want to be in the Democratic cult. Fine. That's wonderful. Keep, like the Bible says, keep your religion at home. Don't try to proselytize to me because I can look outside and see that it's raining and you're telling me that it's sunny outside and it's not. I know we all saw what we saw. We all know there's a genocide. We all saw Joe Biden melt down in front of God and everybody, straight up in that debate. We all saw Trump looking presidential, which is disgusting, but that's what people saw. It doesn't matter how we feel about it, the freaks. It matters what the average guy who wants the price of beer to stay low. It matters what he thinks. It really doesn't matter what you and I think. And trying to convince him not to believe his own lying ears and lying eyes is something I am not going to do. Yeah. You can do that if you want to.
You listen to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade, goodmorningcomrade.com, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter at Good Morning Comrade. I do want to push back a little bit just on the thing that I think we do connect with people. I know I've gotten like I had conversations with people who have like organized at their workplace. I'm not getting mixed up in the politics side of that because I don't think we actually have an impact in that. I do think it's important to talk about it, and I think that it's like at the very least cathartic to talk about it. But like I definitely have talked to folks that we've had like at least discussed on the show that have had a change on it. I definitely. You mentioned that, like, yeah, you're not going to run around chastising people for Joe Biden, like voting for Joe Biden or whatever. I think that's probably the right way to go. I also, in my sort of like way of it, I mean, we had a guy on the show not too long ago whose mom was like kidnapped by the Israeli government and like beaten and embarrassed over the time. Do you think I'm going to go up to that guy and be like, here's why you need to vote to Joe Biden? Like, I'm not going around and like doing that. That's not the point of this. That's not a point of any of this stuff. Like our goal here is to, I think, our mission is to amplify like regular people's voices and highlight efforts of people who are doing organizing on the job or doing cool stuff. Or like when we had Corinne Green, Gay Narcan, on the show talking about all the queer policies that she's doing in Louisiana. And, you know, that's I think that's just the sort of like the role that we sort of fit into, you know?
No, you're right. I was just what I was trying to communicate in a very long-winded, bombastic way is I don't have any idea of like my own importance. Like you should listen to me because what I have to say is so important.
No.
I'm like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that clicks on Google News every day and reads it for 8 hours straight at work.
No. I think I'm an idiot. I think you're an idiot. And like, I love you, but like, we also have the opportunity, we have a platform to lift up other people and give people who are actually smart and actually doing like dope stuff around the state, the country, the world, whatever, and give them an opportunity to get their voice out there. You know what I mean?
And I don't, yeah, when I say I'm just a guy, I don't mean that as like a cop out as far as
you're not doing the Jimmy Dore thing where you're just like, I'm just an idiot comedian or whatever.
Exactly.
Like,
that's If I say so, if I am wrong, like I want to be held to account so I can be shown the correct path. I'm not one of these people that's going to sit here and argue with you for the sake of argument. Like if your ideas are better than mine and you can show me objectively how they're better, I will conform to reality. I know that's crazy. That is 100%. That's crazy. There's not a lot of people like that out there. Now maybe I am having like, that's my superpower, is to be able to take in objective reality,
listen to
and
people,
then go, oh, these are so this is how things are in the real world. So I will form my life around that instead of vice versa. Yeah. Pretending that a 90-year-old, a near 90-year-old man was just fine. He just had a bad night, guys. It's just a bad night. Because you know what? dementia gets better with time. So just give him more chances.
Another funny thing, just sort of like as an aside, like you know how you knew your presidential campaign is going great is like when every time you get an opportunity to talk to anybody publicly, you have to say, yes, I am still running for president. No, I'm not dropping out. like there's a reason that like since the debate, where you know all these questions came up around like Joe Biden's fitness to be president, like you haven't heard boo from Donald Trump, the biggest loudmouth on earth. He knows when to shut up, you know.
He does. No, he really does. He really does. He has just uncanny political instincts. He very rarely will you get him to commit own goal.
He understands media. He understands like how media cycles work. He grew up on like for decades New York media. That's like what like he's got salted in, you know.
No, that's what makes him super dangerous. And again, I'm not concerned so much about Trump. Like as like the damage he can do, the damage he has already done, and the damage that if elected president again, he will do in the future. Is going to just he's plowing the field for an actual like not just a racist and a fascist, but a racist and a fascist with designs on obtaining power, holding on to power, and flexing that power. It's
Yeah,
like
almost better analysis. When we just had a wheel power bet as opposed to a blowhard.
yeah, exactly. He's paving the road for a smarter fascist.
Mm.
And that's what's the most dangerous thing right now. And yeah, and so since that is we're all in agreement. Everybody, I know everybody listening to this on the radio is in agreement with that statement. If you haven't been in agreement with anything so far, you're in agreement with that. So the next question you ask is, what is the Democratic Party doing about it? I keep hearing we just have to get through this election. How many times have you heard that?
Every election is like that.
Except for Obama. We didn't hear that because Obama was the hope and no change.
Yeah.
Obama. Yeah. So Obama was the one, like, yeah, that was the one where it's like, and I bought into it. I was like, I bought into all of it. I really thought that, electing that man was going to be like, okay, now we're turning the corner. Like as a country, like as a nation, we're turning the corner and we can finally get to gay space communism or whatever.
Yeah.
But nope. We've been had. No, 100%. Mm-hmm. Did you have more to add about this or?
No, I mean, just the
reason why I didn't want to transition to. I wanted to talk a little bit about the UK election last night and how it relates.
Well, the last thing is that the last point I do want to make about this, I see some people at least online, and like this is probably like not the people listening to the show or whatever. I see people who are like very earnestly being like kind of scoldy about like all of the Kamala Harris like coconut tree memes and all this other like cringe stuff, and I'm just like I'm almost on the like one, let people enjoy things side of this, one, and then two, the people are mad about this, like just let them go off a little bit, let them cook in their own little corner or whatever. I don't care. You know what I mean?
I have a confession to make. I like the coconut tree memes.
Oh no, I think they're hilarious, but I
think they're great. She sounds like a drag queen, like reading somebody, and I love it.
One of the greatest quotes.
Unironically, I'm not making fun of her. I actually love it.
Honestly, like, the quote is actually like not a total like. It's not as ridiculous as it sounds. Completely out of context. Like it's literally like, oh, you think you fell out of the coconut tree? Like you exist within the context of all that is and what came before. It was like literally like that's the kind of stuff. Like she was literally saying that this is what her mom told her when she was a kid. You have a place in the world, and everything that happened before you, and everything that happens, now, like there is a narrative to everything that happens in the world.
Just imagine her on a debate stage with Trump, and they just start rambling about like the most mundane. Like it would be great. It'd be great comedy. Like if you don't care about anything else, you should care about the memes, the epic Trump Kamala memes that could be made.
And like again, I'm not trying to like be like Kamala good or anything like that. I think that she would probably be a better candidate than Biden. I also remember when she ran in 2020 against Joe Biden and Trump. I remember she got the good digs in the debate on Joe Biden, like literally like talked about him and busing. And then two, like the rest of her campaign was a complete embarrassment. It was terrible.
I mean, the problem with Harris is that people like us don't like her and would not vote for her except for under duress, which we are right now. And then there's another section of people who don't like. It's like the same thing if Obama tried to run now, if he could run again. But it's like now there's going to be people who don't like her, another subsection of people for awful reasons because she is black, because she is a woman.
Sure. Yeah.
So you've got that. She's not going to make without policy, she's not going to make the left happy. You're still going to lose Michigan. She's going to rile up racists and sexist. Her being from California doesn't do anything but run up the numbers in a state that you don't need. So that doesn't add anything. Like, if anything, Gretchen Whitmer would be the play. But again, if nobody is calling off the genocide, I can't get excited about anybody. But again, I would vote for her here in Louisiana.
I would say this just as again slight pushback. There was some at least reporting that some of Kamala Harris's people. I don't know how real this is or not, but they were at least from a liberal Zionist perspective, as opposed to the like, hey, we just got to like make Gaza glass perspective. There were reporting that the so some of Kamala Harris's people and perhaps Kamala Harris herself were pushing back internally. I mean, like,
I've
take
heard that.
with a grain of
I
salt.
don't
Like,
exactly.
it's a lot of palace intrigue type stuff, but like, it's still, I do think that means that
It's a good whiff of copium to suck down.
no. Well, I also do think, and maybe it is copium, but like, I do think that a lot of the like, national security state that exists in America are not very happy with Biden from specifically the perspective of how horribly he's handled this Gaza deal, because like, again, they're like, if you're a Zionist, if you're like a liberal Zionist and you see what Israel's doing, you know that they're pushing themselves over the cliff.
Absolutely.
And if you want, if you're, if you care about Israel as a country and you want it to continue on, you know that this cannot continue. So like, and you know that there are a lot of folks. That's why you see people resigning from the State Department left and right, happening over and over again. It's because of, one, the horrible things that are happening out there, but two, like the unsustainability of like doing what's happening right now and to the continuation of Israel as a project. So I mean, at least, and again, I'm in the Free Palestine camp. I'm not like in the like, I'm not in the like 2 states or any of this other BS. But at least in order to get to the Free Palestine part of things, we kind of need to have a ceasefire.
Absolutely.
We know you stop having children and civilians being slaughtered. So like, again, like, this is all, again, grain of salt, palace intrigue type stuff, but it there is like something about Biden himself that is like old school, old sword, hard Zionism that he's pushing.
And no, I get what you're saying 100%. I agree. Like, in the realm of, realpolitik,
he's a dinosaur.
Kamala's a viper. She's a demon. She has elbows that are made out of X-Acto knives. So with that being said, I can easily see a world, and I've heard that same thing of things that I've read. They're like, what is going on with Israel? Why are we doing this? Her saying, not even like, oh my God, the Palestinians, oh my God. Her just sitting with her staff as president and just saying, anything we're getting out of this place, we can easily get from Saudi Arabia. Why are we doing this? What? Who is in charge here? No, let them. No, tell them this is how it's going to be. And if you don't like it,
I'm not even saying she's not a Zionist. Like, I think she is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But like,
she would just say, this is crazy.
You're gonna get them. This is gonna get like Israel clapped.
Right.
Anyway, that's just kind of like and again, the memes are funny. I do think the memes are funny. So
no, she's definitely grown on me, as as hard as a leftist as I am, as how much I hate the Democratic Party with the fury of 1,000 suns. She definitely has grown on me. She's as bumbly as Trump. So like the things that I like about Trump, like, not as president, obviously the only thing he did was decent, was sign the he did it by accident, was signing the farm bill that legalized marijuana. And that was pure because he can't read. But the things I like, the funny stuff that I like about Trump, it's like, oh, if he wasn't president, if he was like an owner of an NFL team, I'd be like, oh, this guy's hilarious. Like, those same qualities are in Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Oh,
just being weird.
And speaking of guys who allegedly can't read, Gavin Newsom, he ain't it. Let's just move on.
Oh yeah, Gavin Newsom's not it at all. Not 100%. It's Gretchen Whitmer, but like, getting the money together this fast would not be it's either her or Gretchen Whitmer. But
I got to tell you something that I did see. I guess some right winger or something. I talked about this a little bit briefly before we started talking, but like, there was some fake report that went out shortly before recording that Joe Biden was having some kind of like medical emergency take place on him, Air Force One, and I bit it hard. I'm just like, no way. I thought it was real, and like,
bruh. You know what's funny is like faking that kind of news, like
that's hilarious.
That would get your head cut off in like
Saudi Arabia.
In like
Russia.
I don't know what, in like medieval England.
Yeah.
Like you can't, if you like wishing death to the king.
Yeah.
Like that's capital offense. Yeah.
But anyway, you're listening to HIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. Robert, you wanted to bring up the UK elections that took place. You know what, man? Hold on.
Yeah.
I got something to say about this.
Please.
You know, we're trying to have our celebration of America on July 4th, the most patriotic holiday that there is. I made a beautiful steak.
That's you, buddy.
Roasted it on. Dude, making a steak. Come on.
You celebrate America.
If I'm eating good, I don't care if it's for America.
Tut.
Anyway, but you know, those dastardly Brits, those evil, you know, what do you call them? The bruvs up there. They had their election to just try and Bigfoot our holiday, to Bigfoot our celebration of America. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So what's really, and I'll try not to be a super turbo nerd because I do follow British politics, but I'll just try to be as brief as possible.
I actually was watching Navarre Media as they did like live returns of it. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, it's how much their politics, because you know they always say America and Britain are cousins. How much their politics, even though they have a parliamentary system, how much they mimic ours, to where they last night with Labor's blowout of the Conservative Party, they're 4 years behind us. They're doing 2020. We got to vote for Joe Biden and get Donald Trump out. And we're in 2024, the aftermath. And I just hope they learn from our lesson, even though I doubt they will. And what I mean by that is, so Labor picked up 412 parliamentary seats last night, right? You need 326 to be able to form a majority government. So they're well over that.
By yourselves, without a coalition, yeah.
Right. The Conservatives got absolutely blown out at 121. Some other little parties
over and over again is a thumping majority.
Yeah, absolutely. But the things that you should really be concerned and then also happy about at the same time is that the Reform Party picked up 5 seats.
The Reform Party is Nazis.
They're literal Nazis. They're Nazis. They're just like, they're like, paper bag test. Is your skin is the same complexion as this paper bag? Well, stand over here next to this wall so we can kill you.
I have a hot take about this actually too.
They're wild.
I have a thing. I think that they're part of the reason that the Reform Party exists in the way it does is because the prime minister, the last prime minister for
which one?
Look,
which one?
Sunak.
Liz Truss, Sunak. Okay.
No, Sunak. So like part of the reason they exist the way that they do is because Sunak is Indian.
He's Pakistani, but that's a
okay, I beg your pardon.
But sorry. That's more of a Brexit thing. That's the Brexit believers who are just like, oh, they just didn't do Brexit the right way, and we've got to stop all the brown people from coming from the countries that we've hollowed out. Mm-hmm. And then the Green Party, who are actual like the leftists, picked up 4 seats. So now they're Greens
different from the Green Party in America for sure.
This is a huge deal. So the Greens and the Nazis are now tied with seats in the parliament, and now the analog to the American Democratic Party of the do nothing, no material help, thoughts and prayers liberals, which are the Labor Party,
can't take cloth.
Right, exactly. They now hold a majority, and it wasn't so much that the neoliberalism won. It's that people just wanted the Tories out they wanted the Conservatives out by any means necessary. And like you said, you listen to Navarre Media. I listened to a couple other talking heads from the UK, and a lot of the liberals are having this very, they're having this very like, yes, the country is respectable. We did it. But people like Navarre Media, who lean our way, who are leftists, they're pretty much saying, look, this is Labor Party's last bite of the apple. This is it, because people shrugged off the Tories, the conservatives, so hard that if these liberals, if you
blow it now, you really
exactly if they don't again, the word of the day is materially benefit. If they don't provide material benefits, fix the NHS, the National Health Service, make sure that
they won't do. They've already basically said that they aren't going to do.
The Thames River isn't filled with human feces, stuff like that. If they don't actually make people's lives better, then fascism will take hold. Just like the center cannot hold. This is the last chance of neoliberalism to do something.
And I do think it's important also to be like, consider that the electable or whatever Keir Starmer and his Labor government, who is conservative, who have like essentially had the same position as Joe Biden on the genocide that's taking place in Gaza, who have done like ride the middle, like all this BS. They got 34% of the nationwide vote.
Yes.
And in the last election that Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of Labor for, you want to guess what the one that Labor got, discredited or whatever, and discredited Corbyn as a leader, and then also all of these like BS anti-Semitism allegations that took him down. You want to guess what percentage of the vote his Labor Party got nationwide?
It was like a lot more, because
it was the same. It was 34%. But again, the way the vote distribution and the way that seats are awarded is different, and so Keir Starmer gets to be feted as this electable hero or whatever, and Jeremy Corbyn is an unelectable loser, despite the fact, by the way, that he is now officially the independent member of parliament from Islington North. Shouts
independent. He buried that. He buried that Labor opponent he had. But again, Labor didn't win. Just the Tories were just kicked out. They were just evicted.
They blew it
because last night's election had 59.8% of the population voted. That is 0.4 percentage points higher than the lowest turnout since 1918. People are checked out. This is the last chance for neoliberalism to do something. They're poking it. This is the British this is the British subjects with the stick, like in the meme. They're poking
something.
They're poking them, saying, "Do something. Come on, man, do something." If they don't, they will be ejected, and then it will most likely be the conservatives. The Tories will group up with the Reform Party, and it's Oswald Mosley all over again. So it's not good. It's not looking good worldwide, folks. Even though that was the best case scenario for leftists and liberals, was what happened last night. They are at the precipice. They were where we were 4 years ago, and if they don't get their act together and actually make a government that works for the people, they're going to be where we are right now.
Yeah, and it's not even to mention that. I mean, again, we mentioned earlier in the show that fascism is on the rise on the right. I mean, Marine Le Pen's party in France, in the French elections, which took place last week, I think it was, also had the largest number of the largest number of votes in the first round of elections. Now there's like a bunch of horse trading apparently that's going to be happening. It sounds like all the liberals are like scrambling to be like, what are we going to do about this like fascism problem? But like, why you got to get to that point? Why you got to get to the point where like, oh, the fascists have a strong showing, that like right nationalists have a strong showing, and then you're playing defense. That's like what that's like their liberals' favorite thing to do, I guess.
And undercut the left. Yeah, it's like, let the fascists do what they want to do because they think they can control them. Like, to quote Benjamin Netanyahu, why he funds Hamas is because he thinks he can control how high the fire goes. But make sure that you attack the left on your own base.
It's a real danger to them. I mean,
that's the real danger. because those people will survive in a fascist, country. Those liberals historically, like they always have, they turn to fascism. Ask what happened to the liberals in Nazi Germany.
Everybody goes under the bus before them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I don't know, man. It's a really tough spot to be in. I'm trying to even in the midst of all this, like, and maybe it's a little bit stupid to be doing so, but like, I try to maintain a positive outlook. I always feel like we can, because this feels like it's been a pretty grim episode, especially.
Well, I'm completely black-pilled. So my thinking is, if I'm 100% wrong and I'm just, being a Pollyanna, then, maybe I'll just go on an adventure for a couple years.
Yeah. Well,
I'll go on an adventure for a couple years. Everything will be just fine. But if it ain't,
you're gone.
I'm not catching the last flight out of Lisbon or whatever. Like,
well, think about it this way. You're doing the smarter and the safer thing as well. I mean, like if you're doing like the cautious thing and being like, you know what, this is getting a little too hot for me, I'm getting out of here, and you get out of here for no reason, and maybe you look a little silly or spend a little bit of money or whatever, like, you're gonna still be, breathing and drinking beer and playing video games after all this. But if you're wrong, and you're like, you know what, let's be chill about this or whatever, and then next thing you know, we're all at Soldier Field, like being next in line to be executed or whatever.
Like, my right-leaning parents I've been talking to them, and they think the same way. They're like, oh yeah, we were just thinking that.
Yeah.
And they're coming at it from a different angle of just like, oh, all we need is one little push. They're not worried about the politics so much. They're just saying that all we need is just, a recession, a depression, one little push, one little stock market crash, and the whole thing's going to topple over. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right, Mom. And that's going to happen because that is the nature of capitalism. Yes.
Yeah. It's like inevitable. And again, when you have these high profile media personalities like Rachel Maddow, who literally say that the Democrats have to win every election or the fascism is coming because of the Supreme Court's ruling that the president can get away with doing whatever he wants legally, essentially. That's a very dangerous position to be in. If you think that the Democrats are like good enough to do that, then you're insane. Like, I have no idea what to tell you, man. Like
also, what an indictment on the system.
Yeah,
you're just saying that this doesn't work. Like, we have to do something else.
Like, if we lose one election, it's fascism time. Like, wow. I don't know, man. I'm again trying to keep the positive outlook.
That's
definitely trying to like fight through it, but like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at like, hey, how much can I make teaching English in Spain? Like,
they have a program to where if you want me to send you the link, they have a program for English, for native English speakers to teach English in Spain.
Let's handle that offline. But yeah,
it's kind of nice. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, maybe we could all just do that together, man. I don't know.
I'm thinking somewhere else, not necessarily Spain.
We'll keep the show rolling regardless, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to Good Morning Comrade. Robert, anything you want to say on the way out?
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
Or whatever that means in the year 2024, which means nothing. That and 75 cents won't get you a can of Coke anymore.
No, definitely not. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And check us out every week at Good Morning Comrade on WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3, online, YouTube, Twitch, soon to be TikTok. Good Morning Comrade, Comrade Morning on Twitter. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. End all wars.